Guys, I'm here from LP Commercial Photography, and over here we have Andu.
Hello.
And we have a visitor with us today, in the back, Beck, who we'll introduce to you very, very soon. So what we're doing today is we're doing some commercial portraits for a construction building business called Tompkins. Just basic headshots. We are in a small room, so what we're going to do is take you through our lighting, how we work with a small room situation, and also how we pose people. So we'll take you a little behind the scenes on that one. Andy, anything you have to add on what we're doing today?
Not really. It's just it's always interesting when you are doing corporate headshots at people's offices, because you don't have ideal studio conditions. You have to kind of work with what you've got. Sometimes it can be a very small room, sometimes it can be absolutely perfect. So it's really just adapting to whatever you get on the day when you turn up, really, more than anything else.
Yes. So really we're just showing you how you could deal with a very small room in a situation where you may not have room for background or anything like that. So ideally the images will be clipped, which means they'll become like a transparent background, so they needed to have a colour that would be easier to do that also. Yeah.
And also I think the other interesting thing about doing corporate portraits to a degree is you don't have long, people don't want to be away from their desk for very long, so you don't have a great deal of time to get that subject interaction going, to get that really beautiful picture of them. So everything has to be done a lot quicker. And you're also dealing with multiple personalities in a very short space of time, so you just have to kind of go with that too. Some of them won't mind being photographed, some of them will love being photographed, some of them will hate being photographed. Yeah. And you have to deal with that in just a couple of minutes per person, so they can get back to their jobs and get back to the office, to the desks. And which is one of the reasons we go out to people rather than making people come to a studio situation, because people don't have that much time anymore to travel, so they don't want to waste half a morning in getting 10 people done. They want 10 people done in an hour at their place.
Yeah, so again, it's kind of one thing that we like to pride ourselves on. We come to you, we don't like to take too much time out of your day. So we'll see, we'll introduce you to Beck in one moment, and then we'll get into behind the scenes. Thanks, guys. We have Beck here today. Beck, just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're with us today.
Well, I decided when I turned 40 last year that I was going to do a career change adventure, because I've been a primary school teacher for my whole career, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do next. So I figured that if I did some work experience, that'd be at least a good start. And then I thought, well, I'm turning 40, so I'm going to do 40 work experience jobs at the age of 40, and hopefully that'll give me some insight into lots of different jobs to help me work out what I want to do next.
Ah, that is awesome.
So we're shooting this one on the 5D Mark IV. We could use the Pentax for it, but nice and easy, it's just going to do it on the 5D4 today. We've got a 24-70 2.8 zoom. Again, I would normally do portraits on a fixed focal length, maybe a 50, maybe even an N85, but we don't have a lot of room to play with, and I've got two different shots, one at basically upper body, and then for some people I have to do an upper body and also drop down to 3/4 length. So because of that, and because we're limited in room, I'm going to go for a zoom lens for speed, but I'm not going to take it below 35mm because I don't want to distort them as we shoot wide, and even that's a little bit wide, but it'll work. But then I can go up to like 50 or so for the headshots, which would be nice. Beautiful zoom anyway. We work with Godox lights. These things are great, the AD600s. We also use AD200s. 600s are great. In here we've got no cables, we can move them around, they're fast setups, and then they're all wirelessly controlled from here, so this both triggers the lights, but also it allows me to remote control the settings and so forth. Now light isn't going to change in here, but if we're in a situation where lighting is changing, rather than having to fuss around on the lights themselves, I can just do it all from the transmitter here. Yeah, and that sounds really for kit wise. It's a nice straightforward setup at the end of the day. I've got a Godox Wistro AD600. I don't use the TTL versions because I don't think you need TTLs on studio lights. We're using a large Octabox, which is essentially just a softbox, and that just spreads the light and diffuses it slightly. We're working quite close in, so this is going to give us quite a nice soft light anyway. And then over here, this is just a straight, again, another Godox 600. Standard reflector just to kind of control the light a little bit, but the whole idea of this one is it's blasting straight up onto the roof. We've got a white roof, so that raises overall ambient lighting, so that will get me kind of general average lighting around the person, whereas this will light their actual features. The way we've got it angled, that's also going to give me a cast off the white wall we've got on that side, so we've got a little bit of reflected light back on here. This wall isn't so white, so this will give us a little bit of shadow casting on here, so that'll give us texture in this shot as well.
Great, excellent, and I
That's
think
the
we
theory.
have
And we
our...
but we're just going to do 3 basic shots.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the 45 degree, shoulder turn to me. Weight up the back foot, just give yourself a little bit of bounce there, so it's a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
Rather than the 2-star.
Okay.
Yeah. Straight on, same that way. Yeah. We'll work with hands in front, because for the most of them we're going to crop to there for the headshots.
Yeah.
And pretend your chin's resting on my hand. I'm going to bring it down. Just the chin. Don't worry about tucking. Just bring down. Excellent. And then that's it. That's good. What that's doing is that just defines your jawline and it gives you big eyes, and big eyes are trustworthy eyes, and that's what you want in the shot.
Did a lot, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that in all my photos.
The thing is though, if you do it at the bar, you look really weird if you do that at a bar. So only do it for photos. It only works in 2D. 3D you didn't look silly.
Yeah. Yeah, it must look bizarre, but that's, I mean,
Yeah,
that saves money on photoshopping, doesn't it?
absolutely. And what it does is,
Can I see from the front?
yeah.
That's a big difference.
So what we're just going through here is Andy is doing our turtling.
So that's turtled, and then that's unturtled. See the total change in the jawline?
Just trying to avoid the family photos.
Oh, doesn't everyone?
Well, now you know you need to look the other way.
Actually, yeah. So whenever you're doing anything now, you're going to the pub or anything like that, if you want to impress, you always look that way, never look that way. That's perfect. That's going to come up really nicely.
Okay.
It's good. Thanks very much
Excellent.
indeed.
Thanks,
You're all
Jason.
done. Oh, that's a great. You got a good smile on you as well. That's wonderful.
Look at this guy, he's laughing at
Now bring
No,
the
we
shoulder
should
back
have
a bit.
photos.
Shutter speed. These lights do what's called high-speed syncing, which means you can actually use any shutter speed you want up to, like I think a 4,000 on this setup. But we don't need to because nothing's really moving. We're working with static subjects. So I'm sticking within the X-Sync speed of this camera, which is I think about 1/250th. I happen to have it at 1/60th of a second. For no other reason, that's where I had it. The aperture, I've gone for f9 because we're shooting quite close. Most of those shots were shot at around 50-60 mark on focal length. And I want reasonable front to back depth of field. f9 gives me that. I could have gone to f16 and just turned up the lights, but I don't want to blind people when I'm doing it. It's a very confined area here. So f9 works for me.
Great,
And it gives me depth of field.
excellent.
Everybody holds like, or almost everybody holds like that when they first start. If you hold like that, then the only thing that's actually supporting the camera is this hand.
Yeah.
Because this hand, and if you hold it like that, just in that hand, the way you were originally, but just hold it. Feel the strain on your wrist?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's not steady anyway.
It's not steady at all, and so all your stabilization is just being worked with this hand. Yeah, that's the only thing that's holding the camera steady. So it's not very. And if you start shooting at slow speeds, it's a pain in the neck. That's okay, but it's back heavy.
Okay.
Unless you're using a big lens. If you're using a big lens, your hand would come forward.
Yeah.
But on a standard lens, it's back heavy. So again, nothing's stabilizing the camera. If you move it back, so you're resting the bottom plate of the camera on your hand, and then your thumb naturally comes to the zoom, to the AF switch, and to the focus. Your fingers are naturally on them, but actually now you can hold it there and it's stable. So then you come up to your eye position. I know people love it. I hate it.
I like it.
Into the eyepiece, right? All
What
you
do
have
you do? What do you like to do?
eyepiece to the eye, rather than shooting with the back
Oh,
blade.
right.
But once you do that, you can then bring your elbows in, and if you're a bit portly, like me, you've actually suddenly got a tripod, because your head means you've got stabilization backwards, because you can push against it, right? And your arms come into there, and your camera is completely stable. So try that, and even push it slightly against your head, versus that, and you'll instantly feel more comfortable.
Okay.